Hello and welcome. Today we're going to perform a quick oil change on my blue e46. Tomorrow I actually need to go to the local import center because I need to pay import taxes on my car and I don't want to drive around on the old oil. So we need to do that, and after that we're going to tackle the vacuum leaks. I've just let the engine idle for a bit. Now I'm going to take off the oil filter. Now that the oil filter is loosened, we're going to go ahead and drain the oil. After that we're going to inspect the oil and the filter, because I feel like the filter is going to be severely caked up and the oil will be really black, just from what I've seen at the dipstick. Oh, yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. This filter is in a terrible condition. It's already starting to collapse. As you can see, it is really hard and not easy to move, so this oil change was definitely long overdue. I don't know if it picks up on camera, but there's small chunks of everything. I can't see any bearing material, but there is definitely debris and sludge in here, definitely. This is in the oil filter. Unacceptable. It doesn't look metallic in origin. I'm gonna get a magnet. We've got no metals in there. Anyways, these are also completely flat. So we're gonna change these two O-rings as well. Nice, this is now ready to go back in. So I'm gonna inspect the car from underneath with you guys, and we're gonna check all the things that are going wrong. Yeah, it is seeping oil from the oil pan gasket. Servo lines seem kind of dry, but we'll flush that whole system. I don't know how well it picks up, but the previous owner installed some brake ducting, but the previous owner installed it kind of horribly because it is zip tied to the stabilizing bar, other suspension components, and when you steer, the steering knuckles and steering rods just hit everything and it is open. Here's some wires that have split, so we'll rip that out because I don't want to drive with this. Yeah, for the rest I can't see anything abnormal. The bit of bare metal I see is 100% rust free, so that's always nice to have, and it's kind of oily all over. Oi. This oil change was really long overdue. Holy crap, is it black. Jesus Christ. Ah, boy, this poor engine. This is really a neglected example of an e46 coupe, I guess. It is black. Like, it's pretty much diesel fuel. Not good. Really bad, actually, not just not good. And back into the car. And now 6.5 liters of 5W40, LL1 certified, of course. Now it's going up to the maximum fill level, which is great. And the car is sitting on a level surface. So this is the first oil change done. It's going to be the first of many on this engine because it needs a proper flushing, you know. It's really dirty and neglected. This is another thing we need to fix right now. The hood doesn't want to close anymore. So with that I can't drive, which would be bad news. To fix our issue with the hood not opening, I'm going to clean both recesses where the pins go into and the pins at the top of the bonnet, because there's no lube on them. So these are completely dry, and when they're completely dry they can't really slide into place. So I'll just clean it and then give them some fresh grease and hope that it fixes itself. I'm also going to try to guide the sliding pins outside with my screwdriver. Also going to clean behind that with the screwdriver. Just trying to get every single piece of crud out. And then a good bit of brake clean to flush all the dirt out. To clean the hood pins at the top, I'm just gonna put a bit of brake clean on a towel and then clean it with hand. And I'm also gonna make sure that the springs are moving freely. Now I'm gonna put some fresh lithium grease on every single part that I've just cleaned. Now I hope the hood closes normally again. Yes, perfect. Now we can fix another issue with our hood latch system, which is on the interior. This is how I got the car. There's no hood latch right here, just the mechanism. And the previous owner always used pliers to open the hood, which is a bit stupid because you can't easily open the hood. And on a Bimmer, you're pretty much always gonna use this more than this, so that's really necessary. So I bought an original BMW hood latch new, which surprisingly wasn't that expensive. Granted that 16 euros for a piece of plastic is not expensive, of course. It doesn't work. Ah, no. Ah, why? Oh, okay. The hood latch cable ripped off. Now I need to order a hood latch cable, I guess. Right here we have our cable, and then right at the bottom there's this grommet that we need to push out. Since I have a completely new cable anyways, I'm just gonna cut the old one and the grommet because the new cable comes with a grommet. Also I can just pull it through because the part that broke was at the connector, so there's no longer anything holding back. This is the part number, by the way, and it's OEM BMW. So we just need to snorkel that through. So after pushing it through, it stopped right there, so I need to snorkel it back under and then through the hole that is previewed for that. So I managed to pull the cable through with the help of an assistant, and now we can just put it in place and put everything back together how it's supposed to be, like this. Just close it, and now our hood latch cable should work again in theory. And it opens. Great. At least now I have nothing to fear and everything works as intended. Now I just need to realign it because it is sitting really bad actually. Pretty much nailed it, first try. Great. Another thing we desperately need to fix is the brake ducting. It was installed incorrectly, and therefore when you're turning the wheel inside and out, the actual brake ducting is rubbing against the tire and the inside of the fender wall, so it makes this really horrible noise, like this. It's really obnoxious and we need to get rid of that ASAP. Also, I don't quite feel safe driving like this because I fear that it's gonna rip the fender liner out and then drag it all along the car and destroy many things underneath, so we'll just rip everything out. This is a lot worse than I expected. There's wire from the brake ducting and that probably destroyed everything. I think, no, the cables are still fine, but this is definitely really bad. This is why you don't install stuff incorrectly, because this is outright dangerous. So the tube was routed from this incorrect brake shielding that doesn't really fit in between the steering rod and the wishbone. So it's always grinding against each other, which is not good. Furthermore, at this point where it meets from the front to the bottom part, that is inside of the scrub radius from the tire, so when doing a full lock-in it's always touching. Also, it's just installed with zip ties, so not really structural at all. Now I'm just gonna cut through the tube because the wire has already completely destroyed itself, and then it is no longer scrubbing against the tire, which is the most important thing to me. There's another zip tie. Ouch. I'm gonna take out the idle control valve, so I need to take out the DSA first, because I feel like that could also impact our start, because the car still has issues with the starting, and it doesn't matter if it's warm or cold, so I'm just gonna check that. If this is not the cause of our issue, we need to track down all the vacuum leaks and fix them to be sure that these are not negatively impacting the starting behavior of our car. Already found an air leak. This was definitely not sealing well. It's not picking up well on camera, but this is definitely not airtight. To check the function of the DSA valve, you need to open the flap and put your finger on this vacuum hole. And if it rebounds a lot, it's defective. This is still acceptable. So it holds vacuum okay-ish, but maybe in the future we need to replace the membrane right here. Also, this boot for the ICV is already severely cracked. Not really picking up too well on camera, so I'll place an order for the lower and the upper one. And yeah, then we'll see. I have some very, very bad news. I just checked the inside. Look, my fingers are clean. Not the oil, but there's literally like sand-like particles in there. This is really, 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 really bad. It's sandy. This is bad. We'll need to take off the intake manifold and clean it. Not good. Now I'll just clean the idle control valve and order parts. And unfortunately, I think this has already been messed with, because usually these sit here. So I need to check with parts diagrams if this was really the correct location, because I have it differently in mind. So we need to check. The unknown cable from the ECU box also goes down somewhere there, so no idea what's happening. We'll need to investigate very deep into this engine bay. Also, this looks like somebody already messed with it, because these are not the original clamps, and this is for the fuel vapor recirculation system, so we probably have an air leak brewing somewhere down here as well. Gonna take off the first intake boot. So the first intake boot was probably replaced at some point. There's no cracking, but they used original BMW parts, so that's good. This one I'm gonna reuse because it is really okay. It's really tricky to get to the other part, unfortunately. This is the second intake boot, and I think we just found one of the biggest air leaks on this engine. Yeah, it's completely cracked all the way. Until I get the new ones, I'm gonna fit this back on and go around it really thoroughly with tape, in the hopes that this fixes it. But yeah, there's probably still gonna be an air leak, just gonna be improved until our new boots come in. And this is probably still the original one. Yeah, and that's the reason why you always need to check these. And now I'm gonna take out the ICV itself. It's gonna be a few screws. And then the connector for the ICV, which is the electrical standard BMW clip. Gonna take a screwdriver to pry it off. And it's out. This feels as if it hasn't been off in a really long time. So I hope that we don't have too much stuff to fix down here. Well, not fix, but debotcher actually. And now we can take out the ICV. Relatively easy and straightforward. Ouch. Yeah, this moves relatively freely. I'm still gonna give it a nice clean. There's no fixing this, it is severely torn. I've cleaned it a bit with brake clean, and then I'm going to put some gasket maker on there. Then I'm going to take some electrical tape and wrap it around tightly. I hope this seals the vacuum leak okay-ish, because this was a really big vacuum leak. And yeah, this is just gonna stay on for like 1 week, 2 weeks until I get the new parts, but this is definitely better than putting it back on and just leaving it be, because at least now it's airtight and it doesn't suck in any dirt, sand, bugs or whatever. And yeah, I'm gonna order new parts anyway, so this is just temporary. Now it runs at least somewhat decent. It's still bad, but the misfire has gotten a lot less noticeable, and I bet that there's other air leaks that we need to track down. So, this is a weird perspective. I just went and got the car road approved, just sitting at a highway crossing, because the car failed me and I broke down because it overheated. Yeah, this is extremely annoying, and my day could not be worse. So, luckily I have breakdown insurance, but it's not gonna help much, because yeah, this is just very bad. I noticed that the car was overheating, and well, I always kept an eye on the coolant temps, and then I noticed that it was overheating, and yeah, then I immediately exited the highway, and by that part it was already in the red zone, so I probably think I smoked the engine, or the engine was probably already fucked, because the car doesn't just randomly like overheat. I even topped up all the fluids, and I had some coolant with me to be sure, but that was pretty useless, because it lost all the coolant and then it overheated completely. So this is really, really bad. Yeah, what a great start to this car, man. It's really bad.